This is Buffalo's Uncensored Sports Show. You're watching Buffalo After Dark. Welcome to Buffalo After Dark, everybody. It is Wednesday night, October 18th, and this is actually one of our last shows before we go to Cincinnati for Road to 32. So, yeah, and I think it's that only 2 weeks away, but we're going to have a lot of stuff to talk about tonight. Of course, if you want to jump on 92920560099, and of course, we've got Mr. Jesus with us. How's your week going?
Going well so far.
Good. And Mr. Tiny Hands on the other corner, how's it going?
I'm good. I will just express really quick that I literally felt like this weekend I was gonna have an aneurysm, but then again, I've been feeling better since then, honestly. I mean, I'm just enjoying my week so far, and it's going by quick. I mean, Halloween's right around the corner. I got a Halloween party coming up next Saturday at my sister's, so there's a lot to look forward to. And of course, pumpkin picking, and then Britt and I are actually doing a thing called gear hunting, not deer hunting, gear hunting for the Cincinnati trip coming up.
There you go.
Nice. That should be fun.
Yeah, and then of course on my end, it's a busy week with a couple of things I'm doing. So, we got a couple of projects I've been working with and getting things set, but all is well and good. And just kind of surprised it's Thursday tomorrow already, which it doesn't even seem like it's been that long of a week already, but it is what it is. So with that being said, let's get right into it. And of course, I think I know what you're talking about with the aneurysm, and that was the Bills-Giants game. And it should have never come down to what it did, because honestly, for it to be like literally the last 30 seconds to decide things, I'm like, Bills, why? Like, literally, why was your offense that bad for 90% of the game? And yet you finally established a run game in the second half. And it really could have gone so many different ways because, A, good old Tyrod Taylor screwed up clock management, which that was, in Bobby's words, the low call of the low cow of the week. and
that's not necessarily mine, but I get what you're saying.
Yeah. And then basically last play, I'm like, okay, you could have run it in easily. You had a wide ass open end zone, and instead you throw the ball for an incompletion, which you're lucky the refs didn't throw a penalty flag on it for interference.
For real.
God almighty. Rob, do you want to go first? As I got a lot to say.
I'll just say I don't have much to say. Went to bed early that night. I'll be honest.
Well, you missed having an aneurysm, so that's good.
Yeah.
I would go to bed too if I knew that the Steelers weren't playing in a weekend on the bye.
Secretly a good thing, I guess.
At least you had the Devils.
Yeah.
Yeah, that also gave you an aneurysm.
Oh, between them and the Lightning, forget about it.
Oh yeah. I was gonna say, real quick plug. What's your site for the Lightning articles? Because we had a chance to take a look at that.
Oh yes, the Scrum Sports.
All right, cool. Yeah, give Rob a like, give him a follow, and check it out. But yeah, going back to this, man, 14-9, and who would have thought that the Giants are still without an offensive touchdown?
Okay, I'm gonna just say this now because of the fact that we all went into this thinking, well, the Bills are 15-point favorites against the Giants. I think that's the biggest point differential of any game this year in any stage of the season. And everybody thought, well, the Giants are banged up. No Daniel Jones, no John Michael Schmidt, nothing. No Andrew Thomas, completely banged up. We all thought that the Giants were going to get steamrolled because, the Buffalo Bills, you have Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, and all these talented players. And then what we saw coming next was like, what the fuck just happened? I'm remotely convinced that the Bills themselves made a deal with the devil, saying if you suck hard for this one primetime game, we're gonna make sure that you guys are better than you are on paper for the rest of the season. Because that's genuinely how I felt. Because the fact is that all my buddies here, I have friends who are Giants fans. They've all told me they weren't expecting any difference than what they would have projected against the Bills because they got slaughtered by the Dolphins the week prior. And then all of a sudden, you barely beat the Bills. You almost did, by the way. Then you decided to do the 2014 Seattle Seahawks in the Super Bowl. Oh, instead of running at the 1-yard line with Saquon Barkley, let's just commit the same fucking play that you did nearly 10 years ago, except it's not with Malcolm Butler, it's with Taron Johnson and Darren Waller. And then there's a bunch of contradiction going on with it. But I will say this. The run game I thought was really good in the second half, but why was it completely abandoned in the first? Why was anything missing? Nothing was clicking.
Right.
And at that point, you have to think to yourself, what the fuck is going on here? Because if you look at the stats sheet, Stephon Diggs was targeted 15 times throughout that game, as everybody else was targeted at least 1 to 3 times within under 100 yards. Diggs was the only 100-yard receiver on that game.
It's like, why would you do that? I mean, you have Gabe Davis, you have a variety of other wide receivers you can go to. I mean, hell, Morris actually did some work, but why would you go to Diggs 15 times in one game, especially when you know he's going to get double teamed half the time and you know he's going to get man-on-man coverage? It makes no sense. And here you are, you have Cook is a running back, you have Latavius Murray, who was actually great in the second half. I mean, he was just powering through getting yards. And of course, Damian Harris, which we'll talk about that situation in just a few moments here, but you actually have legitimately 3 good running backs.
Well, I will say this whole situation with the offense is, to me, that's like if I went up to Rob tonight and I said, hey, Rob, can you make me a glass of lemonade? You're the only guy I can trust that can make it for me. Instead of him, it's somebody else. And then they just spill it all over the floor. And then I have to consistently give the ingredients to Rob because he makes the best lemonade.
Mm-hmm. Pretty much.
Right.
It's like a trust issue that the Bills have right now. Like, it's completely inexcusable. And that performance, generally speaking, aside the defense, because the defense did all they could, was unacceptable, especially with the fact that you have Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, Dalton Kincaid, who was out with a concussion, though, Gabe Davis, Dawson Knox. You have a really good offensive line and you have a good run game. But the problem then becomes, why are you making yourselves one-dimensional? And it's not even fair, in my opinion, that they go 3 and out for 3 straight drives midway through this game when it should have been a blowout. And the defense is completely tired. You saw that because the offense themselves, because Ken Dorsey is a fucking prick. He's very much like a skinny wannabe Matt Canada. That's how bad he is.
Oh, nobody's as bad as Matt Canada.
Something.
Right.
No, definitely not.
Especially when they were chanting "Fire Matt Canada" at the Bills game. Even they had the sign.
Oh yeah, at the tailgate. Yeah,
right.
That was awesome.
Right. So it's like even other teams want him fired. I mean, I've had a chance to watch some Steelers games because, I mean, as you know, I had an apartment there for a short time. So yes, I do have a terrible towel and some other stuff, but they have got to get rid of them. But that being said, the run game, you use it in the second half. Good. You needed to use it in the second half because you killed clock effectively. And let's talk about Damian Harris. So at least the good thing is he is out of the hospital after having that scare on the field where he ended up being taken off in an ambulance. And it turned out that all that happened is he ended up with a sprained neck and he is likely going to be out for this week. But on the flip side, we are getting our tight end back, so that's good. So I mean, after clearing concussion protocol, but still, it's like we still have a pretty good running back core. And of course, one of the big things that came up this week was Leonard Fournette being rumored to visit, and then the visit was canceled. So just want to see what your thoughts were on that, because I think Fournette could have been a very nice addition.
I would have loved Fournette, but then it was completely botched. And then it was like, oh, nope, he's not coming because the Bills were clinging on to Ty Johnson off the practice squad. That's the only reason why the Bills didn't bring him in. I would have loved to have Leonard Fournette, but at the end of the day, it is what it is. Would have been helpful for the run game? Absolutely. But then again, you would have had to be left with no choice but with, Damian Harris, James Cook, Latavius Murray, and Leonard Fournette, and then I had a brain fart. Leonard Fournette, and then Ty Johnson. So generally speaking, Leonard Fournette would have been helpful, but it is what it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they're going to roll with Ty Johnson basically. So that's what we're looking at this point. But that being said, going into our next game against the New England Patriots, well, first off, New England is a shit show right now, and I could say hands down has to be one of the worst offenses in the league, and that's saying something when New England has a worse offense than Pittsburgh.
Yeah, honestly.
I mean, and New England's barely scoring anything. They're not even doing anything in the red zone. Their run game sucks. Like literally the only thing that's helping them is the defense at this point. Bill O'Brien's doing nothing. And then Mac Jones, there was something I read earlier this week where they're saying, oh, well, Mac Jones, you were dealt like a bad hand of cards. You would do better on some other teams. I'm like, what?
No.
I'm like, Mac Jones, you suck.
Yeah, he just sucks.
He has no arm.
Belichick.
Yeah, he has no arm. It's pretty bad when Bailey Zapp was better than him.
Oh man.
And Bailey Zapp's not even that good.
And you know what's even worse is that if you look at the New England Patriots situation with Mac Jones and all that, you want to hear the most pathetic bunch about this whole thing. And Britt and I were talking about this on Pickup Tuesdays for a bit because we caught up on it. Mm-hmm. We were talking about that Patriots game against the Raiders, and because Mac Jones got benched, it got so bad with New England that they called up Malik. I think his name was Malik Washington or something like that. Something like that.
Oh God.
Yeah, something like that. He's a wide receiver and a quarterback. And the worst part is Will Greer, who's the third string quarterback, is in higher consideration for the job over Bailey Zappi. Bailey Zappi has no say in this whatsoever. So it's like they're trying to get rid of both Mac Jones and Bailey Zappi. But if I'm Bill Belichick, I would ride with Zappi because at least with Zappi, he can at least make it competitive. Mac Jones has a noodle arm, and we can all agree on this.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure.
The Patriots are a fucking joke. Like, it's insane. They're almost as bad as when Jets fans are happy. That's how bad it is.
Yet they can still beat the Jets somehow.
Oh,
Again,
yeah.
Jets fans just don't know when to shut the fuck up sometimes.
They really don't.
Right. I think you're referring to Malik Cunningham, actually. But still, I like Mac Jones. You have no arm. You can't do anything with your legs. You're basically a freaking statue when you're in the pocket. And you have no offensive line to protect you. And I think the offensive line doesn't even give a crap about you. So that's kind of how that is. But the interesting thing is now is a lot of people are saying Bill Belichick deserves to be fired. And here's the problem with that. I don't think Robert Kraft has the balls in him to fire him.
Well, Andy mentioned this last week on the show, and he was saying, like, I don't think it's going to be a divorce like any coach and GM would get into after 3 years. Belichick and Kraft have been together for almost 25 years. And I think it's safe to say that that I don't think it's going to go the route like it would be with any traditional coach. Like they'll say, yeah, they abruptly fire him, but I don't think it's going to be like that. As I think, because he is a legend in New England, because, winning 6 Super Bowls with Tom Brady and all that, like his legacy will forever not be tarnished for that, but it will be tarnished for based on like 07 or whatever. But the Patriots are in this stage of acceptance because they're starting to accept that they suck, and they know this. They just don't like to admit it.
Right,
so
right.
Yeah, case in point when you went to Foxborough last time.
Yeah, and I know the Patriots in the offseason were rumored to trying to trade Mac Jones, but nobody was going to take him because he sucks balls. But I wouldn't be surprised if they traded him again in the offseason to, let's say, like the Vikings or something, and they would have no quarterback, and it would be a clear indication they're trying to tank for Caleb Williams.
Yeah. Well, hey, good old NFL rules. Worse of the standings, you get first pick. So
Yeah.
nice and easy. You don't have to worry about any lottery stuff.
Unless your name is the Chicago Bears, who by coincidence has the first 2 picks in the draft.
Oh God.
Still crazy.
And they're still gonna blow that out.
No, they won't, because
They'll
Carolina
blow up in their face.
The problem is with that is that Carolina, that first pick goes to Carolina, but Chicago owns it, and Carolina's 0-6. So there's no chance in hell that I feel like the first overall pick is not going to go anywhere at that point if you're the only winless team in the NFL.
Right. Which actually, here's another segue we could talk about too, and actually is the perfect timing. So, of course, just as a reminder for everybody, if you want to jump on 929-205-6099, we'll get you on the air. And Carolina made a change. they made a change in their offensive direction, and apparently they realized their OC ain't getting it done, so they had to pull the plug and try something different after the 0-6 start.
Rob, you got anything to say on this one?
Yeah, why can't the Steelers fire their offensive coordinator?
Yeah, really.
You know why? I'll tell you exactly why.
Because the
Rob.
Roonies like to sit on their ass and do nothing when it comes to firing personnel.
Yeah, if I
They are.
were,
They're too old school.
yeah, and you know what it is? The Pittsburgh Steelers. I heard they're going to be casted into a movie. Did you hear about this?
No, actually.
Yeah, there's a movie coming out. I think in 2028. It's supposedly a drama series movie, like serious drama, whatever. It's called 10,000 Blowjobs Under the Sea because that's exactly what the Steelers do.
Really do.
And they'll probably be like,
Carolina had to do it though.
yeah, they had to. They
It's
had
just
to make a
painful to
change.
watch them week after week.
Yeah,
Imagine
especially when they actually got a good QB in the draft.
Well, the
And you
question
have a decent running back in Sanders.
Right.
well, even Miles Sanders is doing subpar even after leaving Philly. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
the Panthers, like, I don't hate them by any means. I don't mind them, but I feel bad for them because I feel like Dave Tepper as a whole, is I've been doing some research on him. He was the one that said get Bryce Young, and meanwhile Frank Reich wanted them to take CJ Stroud. And look at CJ Stroud; he's having a phenomenal rookie season. So
Better than I thought he would, honestly.
Yeah.
I think he's doing better than a lot of people give him credit for. I mean, Houston's not that bad this year, and I'm happy for them.
Yeah, and they actually have a pretty good emerging wide receiver out there, so they're doing okay. They're doing better than I thought. So, but the next thing we'll get into, and of course we have some other NFL news before the end of our first half of the show. But one of the big things, well, there was a trade in the NFL, so of course McCall Hardman is going back to the Chiefs after he spent a little bit of time with the Jets.
That was short lived.
Yeah, that didn't take long. And of course, one of the other things that ended up coming up is Kyler Murray is now off the PUP list. So he's back to practice. And let's see how long he lasts, because my thought is whether he survives the rest of the season and basically doesn't come back to Arizona, who knows? But they might like to trade him.
Good luck with that. His contract is too large. Also, Jalen Ramsey is off the PUP list as well. He's starting to work out with the Dolphins, and I think they just activated the 21-day window for him to come back. But the thing is, Miami's got a lot of bigger issues to deal with. I mean, yeah, how's that Chase Claypool trade working out for you?
Yeah, it's not.
Yeah, exactly. Because their offensive line sucks. And yeah, they beat some of the lowest teams in the NFL. Oh my God, you beat Denver. That's so scary.
Congratulations.
Yeah. And then I wish Trevor was on today, because Indianapolis Colts took a big blow and Anthony Richardson is done for the year. So he's going to have surgery on that injured shoulder.
I wouldn't be surprised if Trevor actually said something negative about Anthony Richardson, because he would just whine and bitch and say, like, you know what, the Colts, they should have just took another quarterback. You know how it is. I wanted them to take the CJ Stroud route, and it didn't work out that way because the Colts were too invested in bringing in Anthony Richardson. I guarantee you that's something he probably would have said, allegedly.
And then, I mean, well, the other thing I'm thinking too is he'd probably talk about how there's no offensive line and like barely any protection, which of course, look what happened to Andrew Luck. He had to retire early because he had no protection on the offensive line. And look at Peyton Manning when he was there all those years. He got like every single week, he got beyond beat up in the line. So it's like one of those things. It's like, get some offensive tackles, get some big bodies in there to give your quarterbacks protection in the pocket.
Yeah, and you wonder why Joe Burrow was so subpar this year.
Yeah, because there's no line.
Yeah.
There's no line. He's injured, and he got overpaid, the highest paid quarterback of all time.
Yeah, which he didn't deserve all that money.
No, they brought him back way too soon, and it shows.
Yeah.
Because they know that the Bengals knew they're nothing without him.
Right. And then just picture if T. Higgins gets dealt, which there's some rumors about that, then that really hurts him.
Well, the Bengals are going to probably have to trade him either way, either at the deadline or in the offseason, because Cincinnati cannot afford all their receivers. Because here's what's going to happen. They're going to have to pay Jamar Chase, because he's entering the final year of his rookie year deal next season. He's eligible for a contract. Then you have Tyler Boyd, and then you have T. Higgins. You can't afford all three of them. So the Bengals are going to have to make some decisions just solely based on that.
Mhm. Yeah, but one other thing I'll bring up: how about them Detroit Lions, man? They keep plugging away. They keep winning games.
They're really good this year.
I knew
Yeah,
they'd be good. I didn't think they'd be this good though.
right. They turned it around. They got some great players in there now.
Is it safe to say that they're a top 3 team in the NFC this year?
Yeah, I think you can say that at this point.
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely going to rule the NFC North.
I mean, it seems like that, but isn't it crazy how they're also tied with the same record as the Eagles and the 49ers, and yet they somehow have a chance to get the first seed over those two teams combined? Could you imagine that?
Yeah, they're quietly very good. I mean, it's like a stealth team. It's like nobody would have picked them to perform as well as they're doing. And literally, when they went on that big winning streak at the end of the season, when they made some changes and they got things going, they kept it up and they drafted. They had probably one of the best NFL drafts this year out of any team. They really got the people they needed. They fit the Campbell's system. And they're doing everything that they need to do, and they're clicking on all cylinders. And literally, I mean, to only lose one game this season, especially they've been dominating most of the time otherwise. I mean,
Right.
I'm glad to see them playing as well as they are. And just a quick in-game note: Houston just went up 1-0 on the Texans at the top of the second.
It's 3-0 now.
Oh,
God
Jesus.
damn.
Yep.
Yeah, but I do think the Lions are heading in a really good direction at this point. I mean, they're no longer what people used to, describe them as bad and mediocre and non-existent. I'm happy for Detroit. I think Lions fans deserve to be happy for once. And you know what? To tell you the truth, if they just play their game and just don't let the media get into their heads, they should be fine. They're going to be a good team.
Yeah, it's nice to finally see some changes in the NFC for a change. So, and that's how he deserves it. They deserve a good team, and it's nice to see like some old school style smash mouth football coming back. So
Yeah.
absolutely nice to see that. And then really the only other thing I wanted to throw out there is, of course, now Christian McCaffrey got hurt. So you got to see what happens with the ribs. But then again, I mean, San Fran's off to a good start, so we have to watch that. But who would have thought that the Philadelphia Eagles would be underperforming the way that they are right now?
Well, I think the whole week was ugly as shit. Kansas City was not convincing. And that was a team, with the Denver Broncos, that should have been a team they would normally blow out. That was an ugly win. And then you look at the Bills, ugly win against the Giants, should have been a blowout. The Eagles, they should have, and they were expected to beat the Jets, ugly loss. And then look at the 49ers. They were like at least a field goal from kicking, the shit out of the Browns. They only lost by 2. So really, it's just been a bad week, generally speaking. The only team I think that has any sort of confidence is Miami. But even then, their next game is coming up on Sunday night, and they're playing the Eagles. So we'll see how good Miami really is, because they clearly could not beat Buffalo.
Exactly. I mean, we dominated them on the offense and we dominated them defensively.
Exactly.
And and in the Facebook chat, we actually got a new guy in here with us, Aaron Kyle, who is commenting for the first time from what I've ever seen. Says him and his wife are sending our best. Go Bills and go Sabres. He says beef on weck, baby. Hell yeah, I love that sandwich.
Yeah, you know what's funny? Shout out to Aaron, by the way. I actually met him, believe it or not. He actually his voice makes a small cameo in the latest Road to 32 episode with the Islanders on it. And if you haven't seen that episode, go check it out. It's on our playlist on over at Horns and Hooves. He actually made a cameo saying "Be fun, whack, be fun, whack" right after Casey Middlestat scored that second goal in the game.
Nice.
Yeah. And then your ass made it to the jumbotron.
You beat me to it.
I know, the Islanders made me famous. They made my OnlyFans page account.
Woo!
there you go. It's like, let's see your ass going up the escalator here. I'm like, Bobby, it's like, remember, I think it was like 5 years ago. Remember when me and our friend Doug, who you've met before, and he's been part of our page before. I'm like, okay, your ass made the jumbotron. Me and Doug actually got our faces shown on the jumbotron, actually cheering. So
is my ass that sexy to teams? Seriously, first the Sabres, now
nobody
the Islanders.
nobody wants to see your ass.
Well, clearly the Islanders love to post that shit, so I'll give them that.
Oh my God. Oh man. But in any case, it was just thinking about kind of circling back to football real quick though. Just a crazy week, and especially 14-9 unacceptable, but yes, we'll take the win. And we'll move forward with it. And I mean, and really thank you, Giants, and especially Tyrod Taylor for screwing up clock management. So because they really should have scored at the end of the first half.
I love to see Dayball yell at him.
Oh, he was like going ballistic off of that.
That was great.
Well, that's
and
also
he
on
should.
Dable.
Yeah, no, rightfully so. Yeah, absolutely.
It's
Right.
also on Dable because he was using mismanagement of his timeouts. That's horrible clock
Mhm,
management. As if Dable doesn't know how to do it at this point.
Oh,
He's
right.
I know
he's
that
been
all
a head
too
coach
well.
for 2 years already.
Yeah,
almost.
he could have easily called a timeout with like 20 seconds left or whatever it was, and there you go, burn your last timeout.
So
it to
technically, that's
reset the
his
line.
fault for burning all the timeouts. That's
Right.
his fault.
Right.
And then of course Tyrod Taylor trying to do an audible on the line, that screwed up everything. So
Man, you know what that play reminded me of? I know this is a distant memory, but it reminds me of the 2021 NFC wildcard game with the Cowboys and the 49ers and the ending of that game, where I think there was like 15 seconds on the clock and the Cowboys tried to make it come back, and if they had to score the game-winning touchdown or something like that against San Francisco and Dallas, and the refs tripped over the offensive line, and then the clock ran out, and they were trying to spike it.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
That's what that reminded
that
me.
was a big embarrassment in that game.
Yeah, exactly. The Giants fumbled themselves as well as the Bills, but at least the Bills were able to get something going in the fourth quarter. So I'll give them credit for where credit is due, because even as ugly as that game was, they found a way to win. And that's the only thing I care about.
They grinded it out. And that's what you need to do.
I mean, like, transparent about this. That was one of the ugliest games I have ever seen in my life. Bills or not, that was ugly.
That was bad.
It was fucking horrendous. But it also made me think, why did I abuse my life to being a Bills fan at this point? It made me question everything I've ever taught Brittany within the last 10 years about being a Bills fan. And she's like, it was so bad that she covered her eyes, like covering with her hands. And she's like, I'm not looking. I'm not doing this. And the last time she did that was when the Bills played the Rams during the pandemic 3 years ago in Buffalo. It was week 3.
Oh, man.
That was and I haven't seen a game like that with her since that game until this one. When you're doing that against the New York Giants, that's pathetic.
Yeah, that's not good at all.
Yeah, really. But let's tackle a couple last topics before we wrap up our first half, since we only have a few minutes left. But there is talk the Super Bowl may make its way to London. And my first question is, why?
This is an American sport, not a European sport.
Hey, no offense to our UK friends over there, but why the hell are we even playing football over there anyways?
Seriously.
I don't even think they want us to be honest.
Well,
right.
Well, they're also trying to make it London's team with the Jaguars, but that's clearly dying. So they figured, let's do the next best thing. Instead of moving the Jaguars, let's host the Super Bowl one day. You know how fucking stupid that will be? Nobody, and I tell you right now, nobody will watch the Super Bowl at 3:30 in the afternoon, because most people have been accustomed to it for the last 50-something years, where the Super Bowl would be played at 6:30 at night or 7 o'clock at night, and people would get together and have food and drinks and have a good old time, no matter who was playing in the Super Bowl. That's just a tradition.
Right. Yeah. The 4-hour time difference would kill it. So,
oh yeah, absolutely.
So there is definitely that. And then the other things that came out, of course, Caleb Williams and his ownership dues.
He is delusional.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see the comments that he made?
It's like, what the hell is he thinking?
You see the comments he made, Rob?
No, I did not.
So let me transcribe this to you. And I actually have the screenshot on my phone here. Just give me a second. And I saw this. I'm like, is he out of his mind? So basically, Caleb Williams basically said that whoever drafts him, it could be the Bears, it could be the Panthers, it could be whoever it is in the NFL. He specifically said that whoever drafts him, he wants partial ownership of the team.
Is this guy nuts?
He's crazy. Like, I
Oh,
get you're
man, yeah.
talented and you're projected to go first overall, but why? Do you really want to invest half of your money to the fucking Bears? Do you want to die out there?
Sure.
Really, especially when your owner is like 100 years old. It's like, good God.
Exactly. You
And
really
also-
want to take that much of a financial risk that early in your life?
Right.
But then again, her offspring also owns partial ownership of the Bears.
Yeah, they're nuts also. It's like I would pull out, here's a line from The Sopranos that Polly Walnuts said that I think applies perfectly here. Have a cookie, you're delirious.
I mean, I get that Caleb Williams is supposed to be this big superstar since Trevor Lawrence, and he's like the Connor Bedard of football. I get it. But I can already tell you this is a huge red flag. Because
Oh, yeah, it's not going to end well.
that's a huge red flag. That if you're a prospect quarterback who's projected to go first overall and your arrogance gets in the way of your judgment, especially like, look at me, I'm Caleb Williams. I have all these corporate sponsorships. This is why I didn't really like the whole corporate sponsorship idea in the NCAA to begin with. It's because of the fact that it gives this player this entitlement that he thinks that because he has all these endorsement deals, he can just do whatever he wants. You can't do that. You're only 21, 22, or you're 23 at the earliest. And you just all of a sudden think that because you're a superstar college quarterback, you could now all of a sudden say, hey, I've been in a State Farm commercial. Let me just go and get some partial ownership of the fucking Bears or the Patriots or whoever.
Yeah, really.
And because he also plays at USC, I'm almost willing to bet every one of you that he's going to suck in the NFL level.
Mm-hmm. He probably
Probably, yeah.
would. He probably would. And then real quickly, last two things, and since we're right up on the bottom of the hour here, Jeremy Chin might be going to the Eagles. And of course, everyone's worst nightmare, Roger Goodell, the commish of the NFL, got extended again.
No.
Oh, joy.
God damn it.
Why do you not vote this guy out?
It's like it's like MLB with Manfred. I don't get it.
It's like hockey with Bettman. Everyone knows Gary Bettman's an idiot, but yet they've kept him around for over 20 years.
Oh, but he brought us two expansion teams and is making the sport more popular.
Yeah,
It's like
big
Congress. It's like US Congress. They stick together.
Yeah, with their 8% approval rate too, or whatever the hell it is.
Roger Goodell sucks. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, exactly. And good luck
Amen
with
to
Jeremy
that.
Chin. So,
Well, the problem with Jeremy
Ugh.
Chin is he's also injured and he's going to be out for at least 6 weeks. So his trade value just plummeted.
yep, exactly.
And they got Julio.
Oh yeah. Oh, who's old as shit. Oh man. And Aaron mentioned, he talked about the field turf was awful and about how we lost Milano. It's like, yeah, that was definitely truth over in London. And but at least with Milano, it's only his leg and he didn't like blow out anything in his knee. So thank God for that, because otherwise that'd really be bad.
Yeah, caught a break there for sure.
Yeah, but with that being said, we're right at the bottom of the hour, so stick with us and we will be right back with some hockey news.
I'm Tom Wujek, co-host of Buffalo After Dark. Founded by Matthew Keeler, Dishin is a Buffalo-based fashion label focusing on continuous experimentation in hockey. Their work consists of products, content, and experiences that inspire creativity. Playful curation provides energy that sparks a unique perspective and an ideology around seeing the game differently. Now you can save. Log on to justdishin.com and use promo code WUJEK at checkout. You'll save 10% on all of your purchases. That is spelled W-U-J-E-K. Dishin has built an influential following devoted to the infusion of creative expression through high-quality goods and tasteful collaboration. If you love creative products that push the boundaries, check out Dishin. Visit their website at justdishin.com.
This is Buffalo's Uncensored Sports Show. You're watching Buffalo After Dark.
Welcome back to the second half of Buffalo After Dark. Of course, you got Mr. Hazy, Mr. Tiny Hands here, and of course, we've got the Facebook chat live and running. So if you want to give us a call, we're on Zoom, 929-205-6099. Our meeting ID and passcode are in the chat, and we've got another half hour to go. So let's get right into it. And of course, the NHL hockey is finally back.
Remind me to kill you in your sleep just for saying that to
At least he didn't bring up the ass again.
me. Of course he is.
Yeah. Watch. It's like now. Here's the thing with your ass being in that New York Islanders cameo video. Watch, if someone would have actually been playing grab ass with you, that would have been even better.
Oh my god!
On the escalator, you were like in perfect positions. Like, watch someone grab you, and then you're like, "What the hell are you talking about?"
Just put googly eyes in the background. Just go.
Yes, the Google.
Yeah.
Eyes.
Yeah, or we could do like we did in season 1 with Coggill, give him the freaking unibrow.
Okay,
Oh my
that's
God.
my joke, and we can all agree on that.
Yeah, and he hasn't done anything since, because apparently he doesn't even do anything with any other sports thing now, because basically he's the only guy that, and I will say this, and I don't mean any disrespect to Coggill, but he is the only guy that ever put me to sleep on the show twice.
Well, that's not a disrespect. That's reality.
Oof.
Exactly.
Oh.
In fact, I remember you
That's
had to
had
wake.
Paul.
In fact, I remember you had to wake me up the one time. You're like, "Are you alive or something?" I
Yeah,
remember
I
you
thought
saying
you were-
that.
I thought you
Oh
died.
jeez.
Yeah, it's like no.
Well,
I-
then.
Yeah, I was just like, whoa. I was out.
I'm like, Tom,
And
I
that's-
know you're in Buffalo, but wake the fuck up.
Yeah, and that's because he was so freaking boring.
Yeah.
Oh, poor guy.
Well, apparently he
yeah.
doesn't. Apparently he didn't do well with anyone else either. So,
What does he do now? What does he do now? Live under like 10,000 C's or something like that? Like,
Right.
does he live like in a pineapple living under the sea or something?
I don't know. Maybe he lives in his parents' basement or something. He's too ashamed to admit it.
I don't know. But
Who knows? But anyways,
I don't blame him in this home. What you call it in real estate nowadays.
Yeah, true story. I mean, especially when you got a house that's like 100,000 is really going for like 400,000 or something crazy, or buying a new vehicle when they used to be like 30 and now they're worth like 60. So good old inflation.
Woo!
So hell, I remember back when I bought my Jeep Grand Cherokee, I could have when I bought my my current car, and I was able to pay only like 27 for it, and now it's like the same exact model with the new 2023s or actually 2024s are now at like starting prices like 47. I'm like, oh my god. So it's bad, but
yeah, it is what it is. I mean,
yeah. But
We'll
it's
survive.
crazy. Yeah, but no, let's talk about week 1. So of course, we got off to the start. Of course, Connor Bedard got his first goal, got his first points, and then of course the other thing that came up with the Sabres, they are 1-2 because they got a win in Tampa last night, and of course Dylan Cousins seals the deal. Owen Power had a pretty good game, and he actually hit the pipe once. So I mean, I'm surprised he didn't score. But a couple things I noticed: the Sabres penalty kill unit really good right now.
Mm-hmm.
Really
I
good.
showed them.
They killed 4 of them last night, and they're killing 90% of their penalties. So, I mean, considering that the first 9 teams in the league are actually at 100%, and the Sabres are at 90%, that's kind of how it breaks down. But the nice thing that they are doing though, you have Thompson and Greenway as 2 of your primary penalty killers. They're just, you've got big size and you got a lot of reach in there, and the thing I love so far is Greenway's bringing that grit. I mean, he hasn't quit on that, so playing well there. I would say overall last night, pretty ugly game in some aspects, but I do like that A, it was physical. B, Devin Levi's coming into his own. He figured out a way to get the win, so that's good. Although except for Tampa scoring with like less than 5 seconds left. But that being said,
Good old bagel.
yeah. Although Stamkos is beyond pissed off now because Brisebois is being an idiot and waiting till the end of the season to do his deal.
Well, I wouldn't say he's an idiot. I just think Tampa has to pay their dues, and I mean Rob knows that firsthand.
Oh
that-
yeah, absolutely.
Well, Tampa has to pay their dues. I mean, why don't you take that away with us? I mean, you're the Tampa Bay Lightning guy here.
Yeah, I mean, I know from Brisebois' comments, I don't think anybody on this team is really safe.
Are you tanking?
No, I wouldn't say they're tanking, but I mean, come
Listen, you
come
suck.
deadline time, they're not going to be afraid to get rid of players.
I mean, your time is coming. That team is going to suck ass.
They are. I know they have a little bit of the core still intact and locked up, but I mean, you can't rely on depth pieces forever.
Right.
And that
And-
defense so far is just looking abysmal.
Yeah, and goaltending's a problem for you guys right now too.
Yeah, they are missing Vasilevsky. I don't think Johansson did that bad last night, but
Oh wow, you got an interpreter of Mika Norden. How original.
Right. But no, overall, I mean, Sabres are looking pretty good. They found a way to win last night. I mean, the first two games really were not that horrific, except for the defense absolutely sucked in the first half. But once they started figuring things out, I was like, okay, they're building up. So I would say Levi, he's definitely going to get the nod. As far as I know, he's probably going to get, good chunk of games right off the bat. And more than likely, he's going to play in the next game. He's going to start. So I'm glad to see, at least it seems like they found their number one at this point.
For the time being.
And on the sample size, I mean, Levi's actually been performing a hell of a lot better than what we would see with UPL. And he's definitely better than Comrie.
yeah,
Well-
no doubt about that.
Well, I would rather take Jonas Johansson over UPL at this point. That's how bad he is. But as far as Levi goes, I say this about the whole team. And that is, I think since the Ranger game, they've played a hell of a lot better because they knew that. I think, honestly, that Ranger game may have been a blessing because they got their ass kicked on home ice in the first game.
Mhm.
And of course, they lost 5-1 to the Rangers. And then I went to the game on Saturday against the Islanders, and defensively, they played a hell of a lot better. They went toe to toe with the Islanders from beginning to end, but the last goal screwed them over. And I said that in the Road to 32 episode. It got reviewed, and 2 of the last 3 games have all been determined by challenges and reviews from the refs and all that bullshit. And the Islanders won 2 of those challenges from that reason. So it's just probably bad luck on that end. But I wouldn't be surprised if the Sabres moving forward start winning games consistently. Like they have Calgary tomorrow. They have the Islanders again in Buffalo on Saturday.
Yeah.
And then they play Montreal the end of the month. And I think they play Colorado. I could be wrong. But
That should be a good game.
but I
Yeah.
do know that they're just now getting the rust off. So they should be fine moving forward. They're a young team, and I expect some, highs and lows like any young team in the NHL. I mean, Tampa Bay
course.
did this years ago. New Jersey is starting to do it now because why the fuck are the Devils so bad?
Mhm.
There's already trouble in paradise with Timo Meyer and Lindy Roth. Can
Oh yeah, they're not
No.
coexisting well.
you explain that to me, Rob? What the hell's going on over there?
Yeah, I don't know. I know he had a bad game the other night and was benched because of it, rightfully so. But
Yeah, the entire third period.
he basically just said shit happens. That was his response.
At least he was
okay,
right to
that-
the point.
Yeah, right.
I'm sorry. How much is he making, Timo Meyer?
Is
It's a shit
10?
ton of money.
I have to look it up again because I forgot. But
Yeah. All I know-
9.5. Is it 9.5 million?
Because all I know, I think it was cap friendly that they use it for, but I remember the trade that happened in February with the Devils when they
Yeah,
got Timo Meyer, and then I think they gave up like 12 assets or something like that. Like they pretty much gave up their farm for this guy. I
8.8
mean, he had a
million.
good second half with the Devils, and then
Oh,
his first
man.
full year with the team thus far has been a complete dud. I don't know if it's a system thing. I don't know if it's just in terms of effort or what.
yeah.
But right
Well-
now, it just doesn't look good on paper with the Devils. I mean, I like them, I respect
Good
them, but it's like
defense.
with Lindy
Oh,
Ruff,
yeah.
it's just ridiculous. With he's a hard nosed coach, and I respect Lindy Ruff, but I think with Timo Meyer, I don't know. I mean, people are already saying early on that he might be a buyout candidate.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
Rob
he's just. Yeah, sorry to interrupt. They're just the team as a whole is just not really meshing well.
And
yeah, true
wait,
story.
so who did the Devils play this past week? You played Florida, and who did you play elsewhere that you lost to?
Yeah, they lost to Florida. Well, before that, it was Arizona.
You lost to Arizona.
Oh
Yeah.
Are you
Lost to
serious?
Arizona. That was that should have been one.
Damn.
But is that one in overtime?
That should have been an easy dub there, man.
Oh,
they were
my God.
behind too.
You lost to
Oh,
Arizona.
God.
They were behind too. I think was that the shootout loss? I think that was the shoot. Yes, that was the shootout loss.
Oh, there's an epic collapse for you.
And then they almost came back to beat Florida, but couldn't get that done.
Yeah, Florida was off to a rough start originally also.
And I know it's only 3 games in, but yeah, I can already tell goaltending,
Oh.
like we all expected, was going to be an issue for the Devils.
Yeah, and you mentioned that Meyer is getting 8.8 a year times 8 years, so it's a $70.4 million contract. I'm like, oh,
And-
good
and I
job,
already
New
hate-
Jersey.
And I already hate Brendan Smith.
Who wouldn't?
Oh, you want to talk about a pylon? There you go.
Did you
Oh,
have
Floyd
Rasmus
Nemeth was
Stands there on the
right
ice
now.
doing nothing.
Rasmus Ristolainen was the ultimate pylon.
Oh,
Can you play
yeah.
Colin Miller, please.
Colin Miller.
Or is he injured too? I don't even remember. That's how bad it is.
Right. Well, I mean, you want to talk about bad with like Risto, though. It was 5 years, 25.5 million when he ended up going at them. Well, actually, and even better, it was guaranteed money.
Oh,
which
even
makes
worse.
it
That's even worse. Yeah.
And not
Yeah.
to mention, they also traded a first-round pick.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, why, Philly?
Oh, and that first-round pick turned out to be Isaac Rosen.
Which actually worked out in our favor. So
Yeah.
Not that it means anything, but it just hit me. I think the Sabres have 2 Jewish players on their team, and Devin Levi, I think is, if I remember this correctly, I could be wrong. If somebody wants to correct me, be my guest. I think from just that standpoint, Devin Levi, I think, is the only starting goalie who is Jewish.
That's pretty cool.
yeah. Oh, so you want to talk about how bad the stats are? So I just pulled the updated stats for Rasmus Ristolainen. You want to take a guess at his plus minus number for the season and for his career?
Or his career, or just the season?
Do the season first.
All right, fine. For this season or last season?
This season.
This season. I'm going to say minus like 15.
I'll be
Oh.
generous and say -8.
Actually, Rob, you're closer. So right now he is a -4. through
Oh
the
my
first 3 games,
God.
which is probably the best he's ever done. Because if you want, take a guess at how bad his career numbers are now.
Like 180 something, or maybe more, 2 something.
Actually, your first guess was not that far off.
Was it? Okay, so what is it, like 125?
124.
So he's a -176. And if you give up a first round pick for Rasmus Ristolainen being a -176.
Chuck Fletcher was stupid.
Oh, speaking of Meyer, he's now on the top line with Hughes and Mercer.
Oh, how's
Oh
that
God,
going?
Lord in heaven and hell.
I'm liking what I'm seeing from Luke Hughes, though.
Well, that's good. I mean, he should be performing.
Yeah.
Jack Quinn's gonna. Well, not Jack Quinn.
Jack
What the
Quinn
fuck am I
Hughes,
talking
yes.
about? Quinn Hughes. That's what I meant to say. Incoming Quinn Hughes trade to the Devils.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you just a quick
After his
in-game-
latest comments, yeah, I can see it.
Well, he
Yeah.
just signed an extension with Vancouver. I don't know why he would do that, but I mean, if he wants to continue to suck, then
Mhm.
so be it.
Well, hey, Vancouver's got one good thing to look forward to besides a shit team. They actually have a brand new scoreboard this year. So there you go.
Oh, goody, a shitty hockey team that got a new scoreboard.
Yeah.
And they're trying
they
to
can
trade
watch-
Garland again.
Oh God. Yeah, I see they pulled Scherzer out, and now it's actually wait, Houston's on them. They got Javier in there, so but we'll talk about that. It's still 4-0, so no big deal there. But yeah, -176. That is like bottom of the barrel numbers.
That's
Who's
just
Brent
scraping
Burns
the
is-
bottom of the shit barrel.
Yeah. But that being said, though, Logan Couture might be on the move again.
Who might be?
Logan
Logan Couture.
Couture.
Logan Couture. Yeah, it's funny because I heard this rumor earlier yesterday,
I feel like
and
hear
I
it every
think if I
year.
remember the teams correctly, I think it was the Bruins, the Capitals, and the Predators are all interested in Logan Couture, which is
Yeah.
very ironic.
Yeah. And now, of course, Tomas Hertl might be on the move too. So we've got a couple players that might be looking at different places.
I mean, Hertl makes more sense to move than Couture because Couture is like what 35 at this point. Rob,
Let's see.
He's up there.
Wait, where is he on the roster? I'm on cap friendly. I don't know where he is though.
yeah,
He's definitely in the upper 30s though. Oh, there he is. 34.
okay. So
Okay.
I was close.
Yeah, so he's on the bottom end of his career now at this point.
34, 8 years, 4 years left on his $8 million deal.
And how much does he make?
8 million.
Oh my god!
Wow.
He's one of those big contracts that the Sharks are still trying to get rid of.
You could thank Doug Wilson for that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Korea's just like, hey, let's get rid of these big contracts and really rebuild now.
Well,
Right.
I give the Sharks credit for at least trading 2 of them, Brent Burns and Eric Carlson.
Mhm.
Oh, I wish they traded Burns years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And to that fan who was making comments about Rob in that draft video when we did the NHL draft a few months ago, saying, oh, why is he crying and whining about the Sharks draft pick? Simple. You need to build through the draft, but you can't be overspending on all these contracts.
Money doesn't grow
And they
on
don't
trees, Sharks
develop
fans.
players well.
Money doesn't grow on trees.
They really
Exactly.
don't develop players well.
I know. It's like, come on, guys. But
They already sent one of the young guys back to the AHL.
What,
geez.
William Eklund?
No, not Eklund, thankfully.
Well,
I
that's
have to
one
ask,
smart
like,
thing they did.
Like, what's the general conception of Mike Greer as general manager?
I don't even know.
You don't like his work?
Oh no, I don't. I mean, it's too early to tell, but
Okay.
it's like what much can he really do with what Wilson gave him? I know, like they didn't
Yeah.
really get much in the Carlson deal, but realistically, what were they expecting to get out of that?
Right. I mean, that was almost you're screwed either way.
Yeah, he's just playing cleanup right now, and well, hopefully this rebuild goes well.
I just find it funny that if you look back in the 2 trades, Brent Burns and Eric Carlson, Brent Burns, they got a bag of peanuts for, but yet with Eric Carlson, they got a bag of Skittles plus, sour flavored Sour Patch Kids to go with that deal.
I do love my Sour Patch Kids.
Exactly. So they got a bag of Skittles and Sour Patch Kids in that deal. So instead of one bag, you get something else to go with it. Because someone was willing to be stupid and desperate to trade. Oh, yeah, that's Pittsburgh, because they're going to be suffering the consequences pretty soon.
Yeah.
Just
true
better hope those
story.
defensemen they got from the Devils turn out to be good.
Yeah, really, really. And actually, what we'll do is for the next couple things here, we're going to talk about some Canadian teams here in the league. But one thing I did want to note real quick. So, of course, everyone knows with the Premier Hockey Federation, the women's league that was merged, and of course, Buffalo Buttes no longer exists. But the PHF founder, Danny Ryland, is now a scout with the Edmonton Oilers. So she found a new home. So that's interesting to see that. And talking about Canadian teams, the Winnipeg Jets actually have horrific attendance this year.
What is up with them? Seriously, I mean, I know you're declining and I know you're rebuilding, but the estimate number for the lowest attendance was 11,226 fans at the Winnipeg Jets game yesterday.
Is it
Seriously.
ticket prices?
That's
Is
still
it-
that's still 6,000 more than Arizona will have on any given day.
That is so true.
I felt like yesterday there were no Sabres fans at the game yesterday against
I
Tampa
noticed
Bay.
that. I was shocked how empty it was.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know what the final attendance was for it, but that was just crazy.
It's probably around 12,000.
Yeah, I mean, and it seems like league-wide the attendance is down as a whole, but still, it's like, come on, Sabres. It's like, I mean, you're one of the better teams in terms of attendance usually. So I just wonder if it's still people are taking a wait and see approach to see if they actually really improve or what the deal is. But yeah,
Probably.
which is understandable. But yeah, Winnipeg, man, they are taking a hit on that this year.
Which is what I don't understand because you're in one of the smallest markets in Canada generally speaking.
Mhm.
Then you re-sign Mark Scheifele and Connor Hellebuck, which I was surprised about. And then yet you get those two locked up long term, which they're probably having buyer's remorse already, just signing that contract. And then on top of all that, you have one of the lowest attendance in your league history since being reincarnated from Atlanta. And it's actually extremely ironic because we've talked about Atlanta and expansion for a few episodes on the show now. The ironic thing is there was actually an advertisement at the Winnipeg Jets game yesterday. And I actually saved it on my phone, thank God. And it says from the Richardson International Airport, it says, quote, nonstop to Atlanta at the Winnipeg Richardson International Airport. So are you foreshadowing something, Winnipeg Jets fans? Are you telling us, are you foreshadowing? Because it sounds like to me that even it was so bad that Kevin Weeks actually retweeted this, thinking that the Winnipeg Jets could be in trouble again and might end up moving back down to the States in Atlanta, which I don't see happening because I think the Jets are in a better financial queue than they were like 30 years ago.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Although, you want to take a guess at what the average Arizona Coyotes attendance is lately?
At around 3,000 because tickets are like
that's
$400.
That's what I was gonna say.
Actually, from what I just looked at, and this is through Statista, it was around 4,600. So they actually got a little bit more than what I would have thought. But still, you're only averaging 4,600 a game. Every single other freaking team is averaging at least 11,000. I mean,
UBS Arena had like 19,000 people at the Islander game yesterday and the game on Saturday.
right. I mean, that does well. MSG does well. I know the Rock does well when you have games in Jersey. So, I mean, 4,600. It's like absolutely pathetic.
Some teams have some serious, financial woes going on. It's absolutely insane what's going on. You know what I mean?
I heard
Yeah.
even Montreal wasn't full.
No, they're not doing that well either.
And I think the Washington Capitals, their last game was at 588 consecutive sold out games. That streak just came to an end.
Yeah, Spencer Carberry gets his first NHL win.
Yeah, that's a team on a decline, the Capitals. But
Nice.
Ovi's still chasing for greatness. He's still chasing for 895.
Right. Yeah, and he's still going. So I mean, it's great to see. And then of course, I mean, other than Ovechkin, I mean, who you got? Tom Wilson, who just ends up hurt 99% of the time, or he gets suspended. So
They have the second oldest team in the NHL behind the
Yeah.
Penguins.
Right behind Pittsburgh and Boston.
Oh yeah. Yep. Of course, Boston's answer. Oh, let's bring back Milan Lucic.
Yeah, bring the band back together. That will sure work. Because the
Yeah.
Bruins are a
totally.
boys club. That's the problem with them. They're a bunch of boys.
Yep, exactly. But since we have a couple minutes left and we pretty much covered everything we were going to go through, let's do a little bit of last call here. So let's talk about what we got coming up in 2 weeks. And that is this band is getting back together for first time. And actually, it's only been like 2 months. But yeah,
Actually, yeah.
Cincinnati, here we come.
Road to 32, Cincinnati Bengals. I think this is
Yes.
actually episode 7 of that series right now. Road to 32, episode 7, Cincinnati Bengals. I am so excited about this trip. And it's getting closer and closer. And I can't express enough of how excited I am to not only get the band back together and do our yearly tradition now, and since my wife and I got married, but it's also nice to know that Rob is coming with us finally. And he's never been to Cincinnati before. I mean, I know Tom in the past has said that he's drove through Cincinnati.
Yeah, I've
but he's
driven
never-
through it probably about 4 or 5 times now.
but he's never fully stayed there.
Right, exactly. And it'll be nice to actually stay there. So, of course, if you guys watching, if you do see us, feel free to say hi. We're going to be there. And it'll be fun. We're going to stay in Covington, Kentucky, just right on the opposite side of the river. And it's literally a 10-minute walk from our hotel to the stadium. So real easy. And of course, one of the things we'll also do too, we'll be at Moorline Lager House right before the game. So if you guys stop by and see us, feel free to say hi. Have a beer with us.
I actually saw
Please
an
do.
advertisement from the Cincinnati Bengals themselves. So for the game coming up in 2 weeks, they're asking Bengals fans in certain areas. I forget the section we're sitting in because Brett has the tickets. the Bengals fans are asking, or the Bengals themselves are asking fans to wear orange and black in certain aspects to make a tiger stripe pattern during the seats. So it's like, oh, tiger stripes. Okay. So why don't we
Okay.
so why don't we change the colors to red, white, and blue?
There we go. And I guarantee you there's gonna be probably a good number of Bills fans there. So
Oh, definitely.
yeah. In fact, it's actually kind of funny, Bobby, because you have a Wegmans that opened in Astor Place, Manhattan this morning, and some of the pictures they showed were people decked out in Bills gear.
You know what's funny? I
How
follow
about
the
that?
I actually follow the Long Island Bills backers page on Facebook,
Mhm.
and somebody was telling people that Islandia that there's a bunch of Burlington stores in Patchogue and Islandia, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, in the
Yeah.
northern part of Suffolk County. They're starting to sell Buffalo Bills gear. And
That's pretty cool.
yeah, so Britt and I, and we did this like 6-7 years ago, but we're gonna do it again before we leave. And we're gonna go do something. What I mentioned earlier on the show is gear hunting, which is basically we're gonna go hunt down for some gear before we leave for Cincinnati. And that's why I brought it to Rob's attention outside of the show when I said, "Hey, do you want us to get you anything for the trip?" And he said, "No, it's fine. I'll bring my Steelers jersey with me." I'm like, "Dude, you're gonna die out there if you."
Oh
do
yeah, I
that."
can't
Yeah.
wait. I can't
Yeah.
wait.
Yeah, watch, they'll throw you from the 300 level down that long ass escalator to your death.
No, I am not bringing a fire cannon aside. Don't worry.
Oh, I know, because they're gonna throw me off a cliff when I go to Philly. So-
Oh yeah.
God
Yeah,
bless.
yeah, go up to the Eagle's nest, man. It's like
Oof.
it's like you're asking for a death wish.
For real.
Listen, I'm at least brave enough to go to an Eagles game.
True.
Yeah,
True.
yeah. Good point.
Most people
Very
would be
true.
scared, but me, I'm going in there without fear.
There
I
you
know
go.
that Eagles fans are assholes, they're abusive and all that. I get it. But
Yeah.
then again, it's not gonna be my ass that's going to jail.
Right. Well,
True,
I mean,
true
they
that.
used to have a jail in that stadium.
They probably still do at
That's
Veterans
right.
Stadium. But
Well, the old Veteran Stadium had like a jail cell and they had a courtroom in there, and they used to hold court during football games for people that got it thrown out.
yeah,
It's
you ever
awesome
see,
and terrible.
you ever see the Artie Lang joke about
Yeah,
that?
it's like
with
the drunk tank.
Yeah.
That's so great. What do you have to say for yourself? Troy Aikman's a fag.
Yeah. And if anyone's wondering, when we do the show edit, we do put the disclaimer on there. It says this show is not for kids.
Nope.
It never was, and it never will.
Exactly.
And that's the way we like it.
right. Exactly. Although, Bobby, I will tell you though, in 2024, you will get a Wegmans on Long Island, so out in Lake Grove, so you'll actually be able to get your Buffalo fix there without having to drive into New York City.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? I mean, if there's one on
Wegmans
Long
are
Island,
nice.
that will save me some time. But you know what? I'm gonna be flowered and showered in Bills gear all the way in Suffolk County, because it's funny because all of Nassau County are Jets fans and Giants fans and Cowboys fans and other
Mhm.
teams that you could find. It's
Yeah.
like I know Steelers fans, I know Patriots fans, Chiefs fans, Cowboys fans, etc., 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 and of course Bills fans. There's certain places, like I said before, Burlington, you know, the clothing store out in Patchogue and in Islandia, they're doing a rack of Bills clothing over there at their stores. And the name of the place that I was talking about before is BJ's. Actually, BJ's in
Yeah.
Islandia has Bills gear.
Yeah, the wholesale club.
Probably for cheap
Fif-
too.
Yeah, $55 to get in there, but it's a 1-year membership.
But it doesn't matter. My wife and I have a subscription for BJ's.
Yeah,
anyway.
I do too. Yeah, and I have one for Sam's Club, so so either one works basically.
Either way, we're going gear shopping for the
Yes.
Cincinnati trip.
Yes.
And plus, I told Britt a while back that I wanted to get a new hoodie anyway, because on that same Friday, I also have to get towards like stadium tour tickets for the Eagles, because the schedule for that in November comes out on Friday. So I have to mentally prepare myself to not die in Philly. So I guess, you know, generally speaking, Road to 32, man, that's picking up fast. I mean, you have the Bengals
Yep.
trip coming up, and then I have the Eagles trip in the end of November. And then in December is the big one that's coming in at the end is, well, the second big one is Buffalo with the Bills game against
Yep.
the Cowboys and the Sabres game. But I have one more to add, and I'm just about to announce it, is I'm going to be taking you guys to Madison Square Garden on January 16th to a New York Rangers game against the Seattle Kraken. So
Ooh,
I will
there
be
you
taking
go.
So I will be taking you guys there to complete the tri-state area. The Rangers, the Islanders, the Devils, and the Sabres.
Nice. I will say the
Perfect.
Kraken and the Avalanche were beating the hell out of each other last night to start the game. First 2 whistles,
That
he had
was
2
entertaining.
fights.
That wasn't even a competition. Seattle got killed.
Yeah, but it
They
was still
wanted
good to
revenge
see.
for the Cogliano hit, and they got it.
Yeah. It's like literally first face-off. Here you go. You got the fight, and then the second, then right after that, second drop of the puck. Hey, you got another scrum. So
Props to Eberle for fighting, though.
yeah,
I know
very true.
he's not the type to do that, but
Yeah, he threw some good fists in there. So I mean, he held his own fairly well. But it's one thing I think it's safe to say is that those 2 teams are going to have a massive rivalry for years to come, and they're going to hate each other going forward.
Yeah, but I do have one
to
more
see.
question for y'all before we close off the episode
Yeah.
for the night, before I forget. Is Tom, Rob, I want you guys to answer, and I will as well. What are you looking forward to most when we go to Cincinnati in 2 weeks?
for me, I'd say the I don't know if I'm gonna like the Rock Hall more or the NFL Hall of Fame more, but that's what I'm looking forward to the most.
Okay, what about you?
2
Tom?
places I've always wanted to go to.
Yeah, I will tell you, I've been to both. Both are really cool. Both are really worth it. I would say, I mean, I've always enjoyed both places, so it'll be nice to check that out again. I think part of it this time is actually spending time in Cincinnati, because I've driven through it before a bunch of times, but actually spending time in Cincinnati, meeting up with the crew again, obviously is always good. And I'm thinking that trip we go to Buffalo Trace and get hammered on bourbon.
Hell yeah.
That'll be good.
Yeah,
But
that's gonna be fun.
My
it'll
dad
be a
will be
fun
jealous.
time. Yes. But no, it'll be a good time. I'm looking forward to it. Of course, I know you guys are also, and yes, we are all staying in the same place. So
It's gonna be a week after my new job too, which is hilarious.
There you go. Right. Yeah, and it's a little different because actually we are officially 1 year removed of Kansas City. So that actually
Yeah.
showed up in my Facebook memories actually a couple
nice.
days ago. It
Kansas
went-
City is a distant memory at this point,
Yeah.
but it's a good one though.
Yeah, for sure. Although
least-
I will say that airport's in the middle of freaking nowhere. It's like 40 miles outside of Kansas City.
Why?
Because that's just how it is. They're
Yeah.
literally built in the middle of nowhere. It's just concrete jungle. Well, that's not entirely true. I mean, they had concretes like around the perimeter of Arrowhead, and then Kauffman Stadium was right next to it. And they're supposedly talking about taking that down in a few years and then moving the Royals downtown to Kansas City. But I don't know how that's going to work. But
Yeah.
Kansas City was a very interesting experience because none of us have been there before at the time. And then to bring Rob with us on our first ever Road to 32 episode, aside from the Mets and the Devils, to be out of state with Rob, I think this is going to be a really fun time. But I
It's
think
gonna
what
be
I'm looking,
special.
yeah, definitely. I would say though, of all the things I'm looking forward to the most, I would probably say just being there with everybody there,
Yeah.
picking up Rob in Jersey and then driving ourselves halfway through Pittsburgh and into Cincinnati, and then probably just spending time together, going to walking around the Cincinnati Zoo, walking around downtown Cincinnati, just to basically just get a feel for it. That's what I'm looking forward to the most about it. Like, I'm so excited about this trip. I
Yeah.
don't know if it will be better than what it was in Kansas City, but this will definitely be at least
It'll be
the
up
same
there.
thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
it will be up there. But 2024 though is going to be very, very interesting. But let's get through 2023 first,
Mhm.
and then we'll talk about that later.
Yep,
Down
for
the road,
sure.
of course.
For sure. So with that being said, we just only got a couple of weeks left before we go down there, and obviously, we'll have to figure out if we're doing the show that night because when we actually drive down the following morning, so we may or may not have a show that Wednesday night. We'll see.
Oh, that's gonna be
That'll be like a 5 a.m. day for me to start driving down. So
Well, I think if we do the show at maybe 7 o'clock, I think we have a shot.
right. Or we could just do it when we're down there even too. We could always do like a Thursday night or something, just live in Cincinnati. Here we are.
Yeah, for a brief stint, I think we can pull it off. But I don't know. I mean, I think it would be very cool to have all three of us in the same room at the same time.
Yeah.
And Brent is now a member of our team with Pick'em Tuesdays. So if you haven't seen our latest episode of Pick'em Tuesdays, and we review all the games for week 7 and reviewed the games in week 6, check it out. It's exclusive on Spotify. Same with Buffalo After Dark, and it will be exclusive on Spotify and YouTube as well as our Facebook page. So there's a lot to look forward to. And
Mhm.
I can't stress this enough how excited I am about this trip. We've been talking about this for almost 2 years, and we're on the verge of going to Cincinnati.
Yep.
It's
It'll be a
finally
good time.
Happening.
It'll be a good time. And for those who are giving us a thumbs up on Spotify, thank you. It's nice that out of 5, we have a 4.5 rating.
Yeah, we're going places, man. We're going.
For sure.
Yeah, so good stuff, and we're growing on YouTube, so that's even better. And just a quick heads up for everybody: our original Buffalo After Dark site shuts down November 1st. So of course, if you want to stay up to date with all of our content, join us at the Horns and Hooves Entertainment Buffalo Sports Facebook. That's going to be our site going forward. We're just shutting down the original page that we had because it is owned by a third party who does absolutely nothing for us, and basically from there, we're just going to turn the page back over to them, and our new page, we own it outright, so basically we don't have to worry about it.
No issues.
It's all ours going forward. So with that, I think we pretty much covered everything. So with that being said, we'll wrap it up for another week. Of course, join us on Spotify, join us on YouTube, and as always, take care of yourselves and each other. We'll see you next week.
See you later.
See ya.